Eric Boehlert, thank you again, A, for my sanity that you get me every Christmas, but B, for your piece this morning about what, should there be any other news this morning except Mark Meadows and the attempted coup against the United States, which is not even attempted, it's ongoing, right?
Well, and the fact that there's a PowerPoint, 38-page PowerPoint that Meadows turned over to the January 6th committee, then suddenly, days later, decided he was not going to cooperate. And, you know, I point out, you know, the coverage has been kind of reluctant and timid. You know, that story has not appeared on the front page of any newspaper. You know, CNN has mentioned PowerPoint 20 times in the last week, Fox News 0, MSNBC a little more, you know, 50%. You know, New York Times ran this ho-hum story on page 11 over the weekend, no follow-up stories. There's no indication. You know, the press sees this as an important or ongoing story, this PowerPoint. And it's just kind of, you know, the frog in the boiling water. I mean, 12 months ago, there's not one journalist in this country thought we would, 1 year later, still be, you know, uncovering these extraordinary documents about the, you know, the blatant attempted coup. And, you know, a lot of news organizations still won't call it a coup. And I just tweeted, you know, if the press would treat, you know, the Republicans' war on elections the way they cover gas prices, we would be a lot better informed.
Well, thank you, by the way, to your other piece. It is really taking crazy pills. You said new poll confirms media are burying us in bad economic news, ignoring the Biden boom, which is provably by any statistic a boom. Yeah. But I mean, you're exactly right. And then they ask, well, how come people are feeling this way? Because you keep telling them they feel this way. You said by a staggering ratio of 6-1, Americans say they are seeing and hearing bad economic news more often than positive reports. The new polling results confirm the deep disconnect, you say, but the media have constructed as news outlets stress discouraging news regarding Biden economy, often ignoring or downplaying the cascading positive developments. You say still committed to the GOP-friendly and fictitious storyline about a U.S. economy in decline. The press is damaging Biden's approval rating by painting a false portrait of America. It's doing the Republicans' bidding. Right? I mean, you specifically, just in recent days, we learned the gas prices will soon be falling. Wages are hitting record high for workers. Weekly jobless claims haven't been this low since Jimi Hendrix played at Woodstock. Yet for most Americans, there's only one economic story being told, a doomsday one. And there you go.
And that piece came out, I think, a day before the new inflation numbers on Friday, which set the press into complete hysterics. You know, New York Times, Washington, I mean, they all did 3 or 4 or 5 stories. And then, you know, I also tweeted over the weekend, you know, the chief economist for Moody's did a piece saying this spending is fantastic. This economy is right where it needs to be. Everything is right on track. And so the media is saying, you know, and shoppers are home guarding their wallets because inflation is so high, and shoppers are literally buying everything in sight right now.
Well, right,
they feel incredibly confident. They've got a lot of money, and the economy is so far ahead of where we thought it would be. Real quick, that's why there's this inflation. Nobody thought the economy was going to get up off the ground as quickly as it did this year.
Yeah, I mean, right. You said the reason inflation is sprouted is because consumer demand is booming as the economy recovered from COVID faster and stronger under Biden than most people ever thought possible. The silver lining rarely gets mentioned, though. And you just talk about, again, to just look at the numbers, Eric, 6 million jobs since January, the most jobs added in the first 11 months of a year of any president ever. Since January, unemployment fallen from 6.3 to 4.2, the fastest single year drop. 16 million fewer people receiving unemployment. It is a Biden boom, and you don't see that anywhere. All you see is
It is amazing, and you know, and again, the press keeps echoing this Republican talking point. Well, Biden got elected because he was going to return us to normal, and he hasn't.
Well, it's just the whole, you know, the country's so divided. As you say, there's nothing the GOP does today the New York Times won't try to normalize. Fact, just 26% want Roe overturned. Right? And you said New York Times. We don't really know how people feel about outlawing abortion. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Right?
Not even close.
Yeah. Yeah, and
it's not even close. And you know that the Supreme Court decision on Friday was presented in a very muddled way. You know, the New York Times headline made it seem like that was a victory because you know abortion providers could challenge the Texas law. There's no victory in that.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court said, yeah, let this crazy Texas law stand, where private citizens are now going to be reporting on private, the way that crazy Texas law is, anyone can charge anybody.
Yeah.
It wasn't a victory at all.
No.
And they're just kind of slow walking.
Yeah. Partial victory is like being partially pregnant. Thank you. So, and by the way, speaking of football games, who is this idiot that tweeted, remember when we had a president who went to the Army-Navy game? Where's Joe? And you said, Joe's helping to oversee the largest, most important tornado relief effort in American history, you purposeful dolt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, there's no game of gotcha that's too, ridiculous, right?
Yeah, and I happened to turn CNN on Saturday afternoon when Biden was addressing, the nation about the tornadoes, and I tweeted, empathy has always been his superpower.
Yeah.
And my friend Oliver Willis posted a video. He said more humanity displayed in 30 seconds than we had from Trump in 4 years. And that's another thing the press just absolutely refuses to give Biden any credit for, which is returning integrity and honor and sympathy and empathy and humanity to the White House. And it goes back to the point. He has returned normalcy. We have a caring, interested, engaged president of the United States.
Yeah.
He deserves credit for that compared to the madman that came before him who held up disaster relief if it was a blue state.
Yeah.
Biden said, I don't care. Biden says we are a united country, whatever it takes. And these, of course, are all red states that got hit. He doesn't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and as you said, another reminder, the GOP voted no on Sandy disaster relief. I mean, Rand Paul, can I just say, writing a letter to Biden requesting federal aid. I believe he has. I'm trying to think. He's voted against relief for everybody. 10 years. Yeah. Everybody. Everything. Right.
I mean, constantly goes to the Senate floor, saying, where's this money going? We don't know where this money is going. Why are we playing with other people's money on disaster relief specifically? And by 8 a.m. on Saturday, he had written Biden 2 different letters. I mean, it's just pathetic.
I mean, I love some of Twitter. Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell suddenly find our socialist government useful. Today, Rand Paul asked Biden for federal help for Kentucky, even though Rand Paul has voted against every federal disaster relief package of the last 10 years. I love Newsweek contacted Paul's office about this, and they said politicizing that suffering would be low for even the deepest partisan. Yet here the corporate media is trying to do exactly that. Newsweek should be ashamed of themselves. Oh, really? And not Rand Paul for voting against relief for literally everyone else in the country for 10 years.
Yeah, and the problem is with the Republican Party pointing out hypocrisy. I mean, they couldn't care less, and his office gaslights and turns it around and tries to blame the media. But these are just awful people.
Lance with a fun fact on Twitter: never forget that Rand Paul blocked a bill to make lynching a federal crime on the day of George Floyd's funeral. Yep. Just a little historical, not so fun fact. My favorite tweet of yours is just in response to NBC News tweeting, former Vice President Pence is traveling the country to lay the groundwork for a possible 2024 bid for the White House. And you just said, also, unicorns. You're funny. You're funny and handsome. Okay, that's all I want to say.